Today's topic, product visibility. Let's talk about it. I want to talk to you about product visibility. Why is that so important? You know that a lot of people teach similar criteria, right? So they go for high demand, low competition. Who wouldn't want that? If that was so easy to find, everybody would be a super successful Amazon seller, which unfortunately you may have encountered. And that's why you watch this video, that's not the case. Not every product, even if it meets the criteria, high demand, low competition, will make you a lot of money. It may make other people a lot of money, but maybe not you. And that depends on a lot of different criteria, which we're going to go through now. What I want you to know is that every product launch depends highly on your personal circumstances. Do you just want to have like a test kind of thing? Where you just order 10 pieces and you just see how the whole process works? Or do you actually want to make money? The more money you want to make, the more you have to invest. And I'm going to show you a few bits and pieces. And I'm doing this because I do have a lot of people coming to me and say, oh, I got this great product and I signed up for this course and I followed the steps and it's still not working and I haven't made a cent. Or they said, I do make a lot of money, but Amazon is taking so much fees that I'm actually not left with any profit. So either it's not selling or it's selling, but it's still nothing left over. Or in worst case, you still pay on top because of the fees and PPC and stuff. So I want to show you a few things today that you need to check besides do people make money and how is the review count, right? So let's have a look. Let's have a look together. What am I going to do? I like these Wicca things. And why am I saying them? I chose this rather randomly, but on the other hand, maybe not super randomly, because I do have a few clients who suggested this product in my course for them to start selling. And I said, well, it depends on how much money you got. How much you got? A lot of products that make a lot of money do that because of volume. So let's just have a look. If your keyword, obviously we always start like everybody else does, we start with keyword research. So we research a lot of keywords and then we realize that Wicca storage basket is like one of these, like this one here. That's a great keyword, right? It has decent search volume, the revenue is pretty good, the average price is really good. You know, like people teach you, it has to be over $20, otherwise it's not worth your time. So you would think, cool, that's pretty cool. Average BSR is quite high, which means, or quite low, sorry, which means people selling decent, like everybody is selling quite well. The average reviews are obviously quite high in a success score here. It tells you certain things already. But I do have students who don't care, who would say, oh, this is awesome and I can make this different. And if I look at the page, everybody makes money. Look, everybody makes money. And I love that. I don't want just 5 people to make money, because that means chances that I'm going to be one of these 5 is just lower. So if I was a person who would have a decent start capital, however much that is, depends on, again, on the product, I'd rather start in a niche like that, because I'm quite certain that whatever I pop on there, if I get onto page 1, I'll make a lot of money. There are other keywords where you would think, you see, oh, there's one guy who makes 11 grand, there's another guy who makes $100,000, and then there's a lot of people who make nothing, or like, you know, like $3,000 a month, which may sound right, but really, considering you have cost, PPC, running costs, you can't even pay yourself. It's just an expensive hobby, so I wouldn't do that. But so I prefer that, but it depends again highly on your personal budget and your experience. But let's say this one. And then you go through here and you check on a few guys, and then you maybe click back out and you think like, oh, okay, obviously there's quite some high reviews for some, but you can also say that the keyword here is Wicca. And a lot of these are actually not Wicca. Like that's not a Wicca one. That's just a fabric cheap one. But of course it's Amazon's basic, so they pop themselves always up top. Then you have all these sponsoring. And here, that's not Wicca. They're all not Wicca, really. Is there any Wicca? No, they're all just seagrass, hyacinth, like really cheap. Most of these are, a lot of these would even be plastics. Most of these are not Wicca. Because a lot of people probably don't even know what Wicca is. I do know, because I started sourcing in Poland and there's a lot of Wicca. Then we have proper rattan. So let's say you would be the kind of person that come to me and would say, I would love to start selling actual real Wicca, because that's what people are looking for, right? People are looking for Wicca, but then they have all these cheap fabric ones, or like these plastic ones or whatever. So if I would actually give people Wicca, wouldn't they love that? I think that's quite a smart thought. However, just increasing quality is not working anymore on Amazon, mainly because the images will look very similar. And you will start with no reviews, 0 reviews. And you see there's quite a few guys on here that have low reviews. So that's why clients come to me and say, oh, but there's a chance, I see a window, I can compete with these guys. Maybe not with these guys up here, but with these guys, I can certainly compete. And I could actually make a nice Wicca one. I can make a little set. I can make a different color. I can make a different size. There's all these different options. People come to me and I'm like, yeah, cool. Great initial thoughts. Let's look deeper. And that's where they fall down. They don't do their competitor research. So they just realize, cool, I have a point of difference. I can make this work. Pricing is great. And with a little bit of PPC, I pop myself into page 1 and I'm going to start selling like hotcakes. Big warning. If you think that that's how it's working, it's going to be super difficult. In saying that, if you get onto page 1, yes, you're going to sell quite well, like everybody else is on this page. However, to get on there will be a challenge. So there is a few things what I want you to check. So I got a little checklist here. So obviously, besides your costing, packaging, shipping, which we're going to check in a minute, keep the fees in mind. A lot of people don't completely ignore any fees. And because you will see that these ones, especially if they are proper Wicca, they won't be foldable. They are bloody bulky. They're proper little boxes, not foldable. Maybe you're lucky and you can put one side down, but generally they will be quite big boxes, which means your shipping from the importing country of import and your FBA fees will be huge. And considering you can't just charge whatever you want, even so people maybe tell you that you can, doesn't matter, make it a premium product. Nobody cares about premium if the product next to you just looks just the same, or it has 1,500 reviews and costs half the price. So I wouldn't do that. Nobody wants to be ripped off. And even you can only do that if you already have a great brand off Amazon. People know you, or if it's your second or third product and you're like, cool, I know those guys. I know candy storage items are always great. So yeah, if that's candies, I know it's awesome and I'm going to buy that because of the brand. But if they don't know you, then there is no obvious reason why they should spend more money on something that's very similar, where they may or may not be sure to do that. So, and just to point out difference, like making it a bit bigger, there's always still some alternative, like just saying that. So let's have a look closer. So I've picked up a few of these guys here, and then you see this one. They're making quite a lot of money in revenue. I'm talking about revenue. They make a lot of revenue, but they're also shipping from Amazon. So you can see here they only have 45 reviews. They do make decent money, not the best, but decent. That's all right. You can see these dimensions are not correct. They're more like 14 by 14. You can see that here. They have a little video, and you see that these are actually quite big. They're not. 4 by 4, that's just that size. That's just teensy. So no, these are more like a proper 12-inch one. And I don't know, they obviously have just, maybe they try to cheat on Amazon, but that doesn't work because every time you send your product in, it will be automatically remeasured. And based on that, not on what you type in here, you can type in here nothing, and they will still remeasure it. And that's how your fees will be that's what your fees will be based on. So you can check here in the profitability calculator. So after you checked, they're making a ton of money. So these kind of guys are making maybe 12 grand a month, which is nice as a startup product. As a startup, I generally recommend not to go into something that charges you, I don't know, let's say where people make like $100,000. You just won't. If you're a normal person that's starting this business and not somebody who's advanced with a ton of capital, you won't even afford the inventory you need to turn this over. So just on a side note, you see here, you see their price, you see the dimensions, you see the weight of these 4 hyacinth baskets, right? Just these 4. You see they're quite heavy. They're small, oversized. Then you see the manufacturing cost, and we're gonna get to that in a moment as well. So this is just what that's helium-10 dividing this price by 5. That's normally what we say. If you need to calculate your potential sales price, you would take the buying price and multiply it by 5. And if you just do that with the quotes you get from your suppliers, then you should have instantly an idea if that's compatible or not. Is it competitive or not? If your price is $120 and everybody else sells for 60, then you may have an issue. So you will need to consider this very, very, very early. Not when you launch, not then realizing, oof, that's something I maybe cannot do. Yes, again, you still want to make money. And I'll talk about this a bit more in a second. So you see here, $80. Then helium-10 normally has like something like a cubic meter, and they do like 200 or something. And I'm really bad by cubic meter, so I go by kilogram or by pound. You can do that. And then the freighters will charge anywhere between $2 to $4 at the moment per kilo. Two if you a newbie and don't have much volume. So let's go 3. 3, I think, is realistic. So this is how much one unit costs you. So you see the freight per unit is actually more than the manufacturing cost. And then this is what you make as a margin, and that's a gross margin. There is no photos taken, there is no launch service, there is no PPC, not off Amazon marketing, there's nothing in there. So if this is your calculation, you gotta be honest to yourself and say, no, I can't do that. It's not going to work. Or you realize this is going to be your first 50 units or 100 units, and this is just your test, and you're quite happy to not lose all your money. But if you're investing $5,000, you most likely not going to make a cent back, right? Which also means if you order the next 100 units, you have to come up with the same money again, plus more, because you probably want to order 200. So you just need to be very, very aware that if you go for something like that, it's going to be quite challenging. So what you need to do is check the sizing. Very, very important. And also check who's shipping this and who's your competition. So if you have these guys, they're selling a ton. I think they're selling like $110,000 a month, which is quite a lot. They have obviously quite a few reviews, but not huge. There's definitely other guys who have way more reviews. So generally, I would say, tricky but doable. But then you see over to the right here, that's the buy box, that they're also shipping themselves. So they're shipping from somewhere in the US, or maybe probably not drop shipping. They're shipping from somewhere in the US. You can see where they're located. You can see who they are. They're incorporated. That's somewhere in California. They're probably a huge wholesaler or a huge retailer already. I mean, you can see in the last 12 months, they have like almost 20,000 ratings. So they're selling a lot. If that's the rating amount they're getting, then you can just multiply this by 10. Then you know what they've been selling, right? Or like 100 even. So it's huge. This is your competition. So these guys buying the product Rattan storage, or these Hyacinth storage ones, if you have these ones here, these little wicker ones, they're not buying them for $5.59, $4,000. They'll probably buy them for $3, but they buy 10,000. So they're filling up container by container, which saves them a ton in shipping, but they also get really, really, really great volume discounts from their suppliers, where if you start, you are most likely not even going to get the $5.48 price. Most likely not, especially not if you want to make any changes to your packaging, put your private label on there, maybe make 2 different sizes, like you sell 4, but you have 2 a bit smaller or skinnier, and you have 2 a bit bigger. Any of these extras will not be included in that price. Your price will most likely be around $7. And if we then go back here to this guy, and you put your profitability in here, then your manufacturing cost is not $6 or $16 for the whole set. It's more likely $24. And then again, it just gets worse. So be aware of who is your competition. Be aware of the sizing. Calculate the volume and be very clear from the very beginning how much is like what you can maximum charge, even if you have a premium price. Yes, I'm not saying you will. I'm not saying I want you to sell cheap, but you need to launch competitive. So if the average price is $77, you have to be able to launch probably around 60 or maybe even a bit less. And a lot of PPC, so the first so and so many units, 20-30% of units will be a loss. And you need to be aware that that's the case all the time, unless you already like have a big brand. But if it's a new product, you need to be aware of this investment. Otherwise, you're just constantly running behind and you get very quickly very frustrated, even though you're actually selling well and you start ranking and you see the success, but you kind of jump off the train before you're there, or like while you're there, you're on page 1 and you realize, but I haven't made any money. So you just stop. I said, but now you're there. Now it's actually the time. Now it's the time to reinvest, and now we can finally get our money back. So it's going to take a while. But if you consider all these things in the very early beginning, before you launch, using a spreadsheet like I have here, you type in your referral fee, you got your pick and pack fee. If you want to ship something bigger like these units that are a bit bulkier, a bit heavier, you may want to involve a third-party logistics center very, very quickly. Somebody who ships on your behalf and not Amazon. Don't do Amazon FBA. Just do FBM, but use a nice logistics center who's very quick and will also deal with your returns. Then you probably save, I don't know, a ton of money, but you always have to compare. Same for your Amazon on and off PPC. And I showed you in the last video how to calculate your potential budget. And just to give you an idea, so you can just, if you are on a professional plan, you need to be on a professional plan, then you can just always go and launch a campaign, or just go in here, don't need to type anything in. I just type in a budget. Sometimes it comes up with an error later. Go manual targeting, doesn't matter. And then here keyword targeting, and then here just enter a list. And you go for Wigger storage basket. And then maybe rattan basket. And then you maybe, I don't know, just go storage cube. All these things. So it would be tons of keyword. Obviously, you do your keyword research as well. And then let's just leave them all 3. This is not a PPC tutorial. It just should give you some sort of idea. Okay, yeah. And then it takes a little sometimes to load, but then, so be patient. But then you can see that these people who are on this page here and who are on top, like these guys here, what they're paying for sponsoring. So, and you can see these are already established sellers. They're selling quite well. They have a quite low price. Yes, they only sell 2, but let's say you want to go with this guy or anybody else. You can just say, what are they sponsoring? Is there a lot of sponsoring going on? Yeah, it's not too bad. Here's quite some sponsoring. And you can just check here, how much are they willing to pay? And you can see on an exact bid, which is exactly that particular keyword, some are bidding up to $2.11 per click. In a normal sales funnel, you would say you need at least 10 people to get one sale. If you have a really good offer, you may get 2 sales out of 10 people coming to your normal shop, or in this case, to your listing. Because you're new with no reviews, you will need way more clicks. So you need to be prepared to pay certain amounts. So, and a lot of things you just like have to just check and go with your budget and say, okay, if my budget is $1,000, how many days can I run it if I'm happy to spend $20 a day? And how many potential clicks can I get? Not every click will be $2.11. Not every click will be 95 cents. There will also be clicks that maybe cost only 57 cents. That's great. But this is your average, which you should be calculating based on. And then okay, it's going to be probably around 90 clicks that I get. And then I hopefully make 3 sales. Is that enough? Just to give you some sort of idea. And then all these things you pop in here, including the shipping. I have a lot of clients who make decisions without the shipping. They have no idea. They have never checked any of the cost for, they don't even budget for Amazon advertising, which is all right. But by the time you get really frustrated, you pay a lot, just going to take a little. Then you want to maybe have other things like launch service, like, I don't know, if you want to use Vine, or if you taking part in Launchpad. These are all costs. So what I'm trying to say is, if you picking a product, yes, keyword research is the first thing you need to do. right? You check the reviews, you come up with a really great point of difference. But then there's so much more. Who is your competition? I mean, this is a huge seller. These guys here, let's check those out. They're probably not super huge. They're all right, but they're Chinese, so they're probably always going to go down with their pricing. So you're competing with huge and then with Chinese sellers, and then there's you. So there's just way more thoughts need to go in than just picking a product very quickly. And I see a lot of people posting little screenshots from certain tools into certain groups, and then everybody's just going up, down, up, down. There's so much more to consider than just the storage, just the volume and the reviews. So much more. And then there's obviously your personal situation, which is super, super important. If you are happy and you get a spare cash and you know this is my business plan and I know I got 50 grand and the first 25 will be just gone to establish this whole thing, and with the next 30 I'm going to replenish and get all my money back. But this is going to be a process that will take about a year, maybe even 2 years, just by the time you maybe have to change suppliers. There's a lot of different things in between. So there's a lot of things that you need to consider. If you're ready to do that, then you can launch on a market like that. If you want to just start something to learn the process and you have very limited amounts of cash available, then you want to do way more particular research and have to probably research way longer without wasting time. Like, I don't mean this, it doesn't have to be a long process, but it needs to be more thorough. And you may have to contact more supplier, and you may have to find different ways to make it work, like be more convincing, negotiate way tougher to make this work. So if you need help, obviously contact me. So this is what I want to offer you. Actually, I want to offer you that you can send me your keywords and maybe even your little screenshots just to me. It will be highly confidential, and I'm going to check and give you my 5 cents. That will be free of charge. Normally I charge a lot of money for that, those kind of things as part of my course. I'm just going to give you my 5 cents and think these are things you can consider. Like, for example, if you want to a lot of people go into acrylics because they're really great, right? If you have anything acrylic, people love it, people want to buy it, there's a lot of demand, and there's not tons of competition. But even if all these circumstances are really great, to take a good photo of an acrylic shelf box, picture frame is super challenging. And even if you have a top photographer, it can be quite hard just to make it look right and not just like there's this really dirty window in front of a white screen. So if you need help, contact me, send me your keywords. I'm happy to have a quick look and give you my 5 cents worth. If you want my awesome little spreadsheet to calculate potential margin, and just don't forget anything, even if it's just like a little, I need to remember that, contact me. I'm happy to send that to you as well. And if you need any other help, always here for you. I hope you liked this video about product visibility. I hope it wasn't too scary. I want to encourage you and prevent you from making huge mistakes, not discourage you. I want to help you. And if you like this video, and if you have maybe a few questions or ideas, or maybe have a comment on like what you liked about this video, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.